today's update. I know I have hung out with people in the past that say they don't do updates. They just do projects. I'm sorry, this is just the way I do things, okay? Now, I did have to fight that line off and on all day. But, the problems with the bugs, hey, I picked off right at 20, I think it counted like 18 that I took and burned with a cigarette lighter. Nearly burnt my fingertips off. Plus I was picking them off and this and that. Now, I came out here with some of that Ortho Home Defense. And I've got plenty of these dudes. I found 4 or 5 nests. I got that one out of that corner. I used that Ortho's Home Defense. I sprayed it all out, let it set for a little while. I did manage to get this radiator off. I'm in shorts and I don't even have so much as a bug. Now, it did cool down quite a bit. You know, these plants over here, I'm going to show you those. Man, they, that tobacco didn't like that cold weather at all, brother. But, that line, Andy suggested that we just epoxy it in. So, there we are. It's cut. You can replace those bungs. It's cheaper for a set of lines, and I have took like one of those adapters, and you take it and just put it in there. You can swell it out and put that bang back on it with a new one. It just ain't worth it to me, really. You can buy just the ends and just put like a shark bite on it. I've seen it, you know. We're not going to try to cobble it too much. It's cheaper for a set of lines than it is that radiator. But you got to put 2 new bungs in it. I made the executive decision. Man, those lines are looking pretty flaked up. So, going to have to do it eventually anyhow. And if you can't get the line out, it's been epoxied, whatever it is, I'm just going to do what I got to do. Now, that little tit that you seen came off of this. Now, I've broke a few of those. Even Andy said, man, every time I took one of those off, they always break. So make sure you either got a ring gear. I like that style. They don't get too tight. It don't make the radiator hose bad either. But when you try to take them off, they do make like a tool. Blue Point makes a tool that goes on there and you just crank it down and it'll hold it open. You slide it right off. It's no problem. But, you know, it's like, some of those are like $500. But they work, man. I brag on them. Harbor Freight makes a cheap one, but I just, I'll fix it. You know, this is the process of making something fit. And, I had to fix that because it was leaking. I ain't going to burn the transmission up. Hopefully. Got the condenser out. We got all the stuff on the top side finished up. I was able to get the fuel line off. We got the other line to the throttle body. I think it's just a vent tube or whatever. We pulled out the transmission dipstick tube. And basically we fought this. I was able to get that out. I had to use a pair of these cable crimpers. You just stick it on there and tap it back and I was able to get it out. Now, dude, I'd come out here and mess with it 10, 20 minutes and I started getting bugs on me until I used that spray out here. So, just kind of the way it is. Got that motor mount out. We still got the other motor mount, the starter. It's got a bracket in there that's bolted to the bell housing that's holding some wiring harness to get that socket in there for that motor mount. So we get that motor mount out. And these motor mounts kind of look, I don't know if you can see that. Got a 2-bolt design. Chevrolet. And this right here has got a 2-bolt design. Chevrolet. I don't know if you can even see it. Right there and right there. So we might be able to use those Chevy Colorado motor mounts on one side. That other side's got like a 4. It's got 4 places right there, but right there's the 2 mounts, upper and lower, depending on how high you mounted it or whatever. But we might be able to use those factory motor mounts and then that motor plate bolted up. Might be pretty solid. Started looking at that, kind of eyeballing that pretty good. That's all the stuff on top. I don't think I see much else. That's the vent tube too. We took the vent tube off the brake booster. We got that. And then we had to put a wire. I didn't like cutting that wire, but we put a wire to the, had a broke wire going to this MAP sensor. It just detects vacuum. So, whatever. We're making progress. That's slow. Yesterday I stopped at like 8 o'clock. I sat down, smoked a little bit. And as soon as I got done with a stick, let me tell you right now, it was dark. Before I get everything put back up, it was dark. It got cold. And the bugs were so bad, I couldn't even see. They're getting in my eyes so bad. And we'll take you over here to these plants. Now, I made a video this morning, too, about how cold it was. You know, it got pretty nippy out. It's supposed to get colder the next 2 days. That tobacco did not like that whatsoever. You know, typically you would have already picked it, and it's got to have heat to air cure it. Good hot day, you stick it out in the field. It's, you know, on a tobacco stake, and you let it dry down some, because if the humidity's too high in the barn, it'll mold. You know, they've already been smoke curing it. I planted it when it said to plant it, but you know, with the frost, the freeze that happened, it stunted it. Even with my peppers. AtomicPepperSeeds.com. Appreciate you for being civil. You know, my sponsor sent me out a bunch of great equipment. We're talking about making some wine next time, but it takes like maybe 2 or 3 years to get your grapevines on enough to get berries. So we'll see what and all happens with that. But look at these tobacco plants. They did not like that cold weather. And you know, it's getting time to be picking. I'm gonna let these seed out. I don't know, it's got like, had a lot of bugs on it this morning. I don't think them bugs are hurting anything. But I'm waiting for it to throw a head on it so it'll get some seed. Good and sticky. You know, it's probably ready to pick. Don't have a fertilizer program set up. Just doing what we can, man. I'm just, you know, we're just having fun. Something to do. Those plants, you know, like I said, the flowers, they didn't like that. Here's the end of the day. They look a little bit better, but they feel cold. It's actually kind of brisk out. These tomato plants usually like cold weather a little bit, you know, a little cool. Not like in the 50s. It might get colder now. It might frost. But look at all these tomatoes. They're already all of a sudden starting to come together and wanting to be picked. You know, there's a little bit orange. They're almost all the way. I say a couple days. You won't be able to keep them on, or you have to pick them off there. The flowers did come back a little bit. But see, it really hurt that head. This one. They were like limp this morning. Really limp. The plants were limp too. They don't look bad right now. These tomatoes, they were kind of like, they were hurt, okay? I'll just be honest with you, they were hurt. They were looking pretty limp. They kind of perked up here at the end of the day. But, you know, with 4 or 5 days of that, they might not fare well. Now, them later varieties, they should be able to handle a little bit of cold, you would think. You know, if they go late into the season. But it's unseasonably cold. Man, these marigolds here, let me tell you right now, buddy, they look pretty nice. They look hardy, too. You know, those didn't get much water, but they could have been frosted. They got the same amount of everything. I think it's just some of them, see, they just didn't do too good. But those, like I say, picture perfect, beautiful. Really hardy, throwing a lot of blooms. Look at the color in there. Pretty.